What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the 034 Motorsport springs that I installed to my 2019 Golf R. I'll be doing a drive vlog style review, but let me just show you guys the stance of the springs and just talk a little bit about it and the installation process and all that fun stuff. So this is how it looks. Now these springs drop 0.8 in the rear and 0.4 in the front. So let's start with the front. As you can see, there's still a wheel gap. About, I want to say that's about 2 fingers. Just about 2 fingers. And then in the rear, it's a 0.8 drop. So, I want to say like more like 1.5 fingers, because I can get that all the way, but I can't with that. But overall, looks pretty good. And don't mind my messy car, it's a little dirty, but we're gonna wash that today. So the overall goal with these springs was to basically get rid of the body roll that comes with these stock cars. A lot of the time, these cars, the suspension, it's great from factory, but it's honestly a little bit soft, so I wanted to get rid of that by adding the lowering springs. And also, the wheel gap was just a little bit too much for me, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a drop, but not compromise the driving abilities. Especially, let me show you guys. My little driveway pad is pretty steep, so that would be a bit of a mission to get out. It would be a little bit of a mission to get out if I went lower and I got a lip and a splitter and all that stuff. So we're trying to avoid that, but let's go back into the car. I'm gonna hook up my camera mount and let's go for a drive, and I'll talk a bit more about the springs and how it works with the dynamic chassis control that this car comes stock with. So let's go. So my car is all warmed up, ready to go. Let's go for a drive and talk about the springs. So actually, before I go, let me explain to you guys. This car comes with dynamic chassis control, which means that each of the shocks has a dampening level in it, controlled by, I believe this one's electromagnetic. It changes the viscosity of the liquid in the shock. So, boring. If it's a thicker viscosity, it will be a bit more stiff. If it's a bit loose, it will be a bit more bouncy. That's just like the basics of how it works. And we have 3 levels. We have comfort, normal, and race mode. Comfort being the softest, race mode being the most stiff, and then normal is just a nice balance in between. With the springs though, it changes it a little bit, and depending on how you like your comfort of the car, race mode and comfort will still be day and night, but comfort will be a more soft setting of normal, and then normal will be a softer setting of race, and then now the race mode is just super stiff, which to each its own. It depends what you like, what you prefer, but personally I like having a very stiff suspension while driving, and it's nice when you're cornering and pulling it through sharp turns. So let's go for a drive and I'll talk a bit more about the suspension and give you my input while we drive, as I feel the road while I drive, as I feel the road. Anyways, let's go. So for starters, coming out of my driveway or garage, it's super stiff. Super stiff, super steep, so I need to hit it at an angle and goes a little bit sideways. So let's start in comfort mode. and drive with that suspension to feel how it's like. Green light. Yellow light. Okay, making that really last minute left turn. You can feel the body roll. Not a lot, but you can feel it. It's there for sure. But driving straight, we'll wait for this light to change and then I'll drive a bit more. Driving straight, the best way to describe it is all of the little bumps, like, they disappear. So if you're used to feeling every single little bump, in this case, all the little bumps disappear, which is very nice. Yeah, it's actually really good. Yeah, just driving down the road, all the little lines and cuts in the road and the tiny little bumps, it really does a good job smoothing them out, and I'm very impressed. It's like, it does, because a lot of the time when you get aftermarket springs and shocks or suspensions, whatever, it just completely changes it to the point where, unless you have proper dampening built into it, it's not gonna feel good at all. So I'm very impressed with the feel of this suspension. So this spot's gonna be a little bit bumpy going through this bridge area. So let me feel this and let you guys know how it feels. It's really good actually, because most of the time I'm driving in race mode, so I can't really give you guys, I'm not really giving you guys like my pre-input kind of thing, like how I felt it before. I'm mostly driving race mode, so when I talk about race mode, it's from like almost a month's worth of experience of driving in that mode. So, oh, I just went over a manhole and I didn't really feel that. That's good. So actually, let's switch this now to normal mode to see if it gets a bit more stiff. Okay, yeah, I'm already feeling the bumps a bit more. This section of road, there's a lot of lines and a lot of bumps. A little less body roll on the turns. Let me just do a little bit less body roll, but the bumps I'm starting to feel. Yeah, the bumps I'm starting to feel for sure. All these little bumps are not getting smoothened out as much as they were on comfort mode. So it's becoming a little bit more stiff, but it's still comfortable. It's not crazy. When I've driven in the Focus RS in their race or sport mode, whatever their highest mode was, but when you put it in that mode, the suspension was like super stiff. Like every single bump you feel it go up your body. So on a track it's probably amazing for like road feel and handling, but on a road for everyday driving it's probably not ideal. So I think the Focus RS suspension stock is still a bit more stiff than this car in the race mode that we will talk about later. But right now in the normal mode, it's still feeling good. Like, I'm still getting good road feel. The bumps are there. Not as smoothened out as comfort, of course, but it's not uncomfortable at all. So it's still manageable for daily driving. So let's switch it to the last setting, which is race mode. And we're going to race. It's gonna get a little bit louder and a lot stiffer. Oh yeah, every single bump. I don't know if you're hearing some tickings because I have stuff in the side, but every single bump I'm feeling. But it's super stiff, so let's take this curvy part of the road. Yeah, that feels nice. Car feels really planted. There's like no body roll on that. And imagine if I got sway bars, that's gonna like make it feel even more solid. But so far so good. But see, all these little bumps, you're gonna feel it. So unless you care that much about the comfort of the car, like, it's gonna be bumpy. So just to warn you guys, if you guys are gonna go with not just these springs, not just the 034 Motorsport spring, if you go with any springs and it changes how the car feels, especially if you're going lower, they need to make it stiffer. They need to make sure that these springs work well with the stock suspension. And if they don't make the spring stiff enough, you're going to be bottoming out that spring every single time and damaging it. So there's reasons not only for performance but for reliability. So specifically talking about these springs in race mode, I daily drive it in race mode, so you can already tell that it's not bad to the point where it's not drivable. But do I recommend it? No, I would probably drive in normal or comfort every day. But because I like the stiff feel, I like being able to take a corner without feeling any body roll, I just keep it in race mode 24/7 all day long. The only time I will maybe take it off is if my parents come in the car, but that's just because I want to smooth out the ride for them. But other than that, like, very manageable, very good drive, and overall I do recommend these springs. It's at a good price point. I'll leave a link down in the description where you can purchase them on their website. It's a very good price, pretty easy to install. For me it was easy to install because I can do it on a lift, on a hoist. For you guys at home, it's gonna be tricky. I'll leave a video also in the description of the install video that I followed off this guy that has many years of experience of working on cars. He explains everything and reminds you about the sensors, what to remove, what tools you need, and in his description he shows you all of the sockets, no, all of the bolts and the nuts that you should be replacing from factory. Do you have to? That's up to you, but there are recommended to be changing your nuts and bolts when replacing certain ones. But yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was it took a while for me to make because I really wanted to feel the springs first and let it settle. And now that it's settled, it is proper and ready to drive. So let's finish this video off with a little pull. Hopefully there's no cops. Alright guys, whew. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.